you
Hey
hear
Jessica, how are you doing?
me? How are you?
I'm just fine, thank you. Thanks for coming on and taking the time to come on my podcast. It sounds like you've had quite the day going on.
It's always, I swear I should be used to crazy stuff happening on a regular basis with me.
Crazy stuff. Well, explain. Like, what do you define as crazy besides today?
If anything's gonna happen, it's bound to happen to me. I swear, I always say luck has nothing to do with anything with me, because if it does, then I don't, it's never gonna go well.
Before we get started, though, explain some of the tattoos. Like, what's going on there?
It's kind of like a collage. They're not even close to being done either, honestly. It's a mixture of everything that I stand for, everything like that's special to me. There's so many. I mean, we would be here all night.
Right. We wouldn't even get to MMA material here if we explain it, right? Yeah, I have some myself. I feel like I'm almost like a boss interviewing people today. I had like I had like vest, I had the dress shirt on. Like I feel like I'm interviewing people for a job here.
Well, you look very professional.
Just today though, just today. Um, but seriously though, I do appreciate you coming on the podcast. Like I said, I know it's been kind of a crazy day for you. So let's get started. So recently you had a fight at UFC 256, or excuse me, I was just talking to a UFC fighter, Bellator 256. So how are you feeling though? Like how's everything feeling so far?
I feel great. Not injured at all. Like I took not even I didn't even have bruises on my face. So like there was nothing. I'm ready to get back in as soon as possible, because I guess the time off, I really thought that it wasn't going to affect me, and it did. So I just got so excited, and it's been built up for so long that when I got in there, it just it was like an out of body experience. So I'm just ready to showcase what I know, and everyone that knows my fighting and my style of fighting, they know it wasn't me. So,
Hmm.
but
Okay, fair enough. I mean, let's start talk the start. Like, let's talk about the start of your MMA career. I mean, about 6 years ago, you started your amateur career. What facilitated your decision to start MMA?
honestly, I had a lot of people that told me that I'd be good at it. I honestly didn't follow it. I liked watching any kind of fighting, honestly, boxing, MMA. I just didn't follow it like some people do. I always have been a fighter growing up, and I think that's why people pushed me to do it. I was kind of a troubled kid, I guess you could say.
Hmm.
I went in and I tried it, and I did need something I felt like that was a portal for my excess energy that I have always had in my anger. So it did help in multiple ways besides just getting that out.
Okay. Do you find like, obviously you know who Ronda Rousey is. I mean, I think every female, male athlete in terms of MMA knows who she is. Do you feel like she kind of opened the door for a lot of these women to pursue that kind of career?
Absolutely, she really did. I never was fond of the cockiness, but she was a great. I've never been a fan of that kind of personality in the fighting thing, because I think that fighting speaks for itself. So I prefer to let my fighting speak for itself. But I really think that she really did open up the door for all women, and it's grown so much since she started. So yeah, absolutely.
Hmm. And let's talk about your nickname here. I mean, the Black Widow. Explain. Come on.
I honestly, I wasn't too fond of it at first. It grew on me. It is definitely like it's me now, so there's nothing I can do about it. But when I first came into the gym, of course, I'm this blonde chick, and I'm nice most of the time. So like I have a bubbly, funny personality, and my coach, I went with guys, and I was actually like much stronger than people anticipated. So I ended up like going against the guys, and I'm very aggressive, so I started hurting them. So it kind of like my coach said the Black Widow.
Well, when I read that you had the nickname the Black Widow, I wasn't sure if like you had some like thing for like Marvel or something like that? Is she like a Black Widow fan? Like, what was going on there?
Everyone always assumes that, honestly. And then I've actually had people come up to me at fights and was like, "I was expecting you to be black." I'm like, "Okay, I gotta take that."
Mm-hmm. And I guess like talking about, I mean, most of your career you've got to fight at 125, 135. So obviously, I think in Bellator they only have the 145, I believe. So is that the reason for the jump to go to 145, or what happened there?
No, I've always walked around 150 to 155.
Okay.
Um, it was a large weight cut, and a lot of my losses in amateur and actually in the couple that's in pro when I was at 135 were from bad weight cuts. So I've never been, when I jumped into this sport, it's not like I had experience in like wrestling and cutting weight and stuff like that, and it's much easy it's much easier for guys to cut weight than girls. That's just like scientifically proven. So I've never been good at the weight cutting process. So me being at the weight that I walk around at, I can focus more on fighting. I can focus more on training hard. I feel way more prepared. The best I ever felt was when I fought the first fight in Bellator and won in the first round via armbar with Amber Leibrock. I honestly felt amazing, and it's nice because I can take short notice fights. I'm there. I'm ready. I'm ready to go, and I don't have to worry about that. And I think weight cutting a lot of weight is stupid. So that's my personal opinion.
Well, and I think I've had this conversation with a few fighters. One actually brought up a really good point. He had a really good thought about longevity. And he mentioned how weight cutting, he believes, actually affects your longevity more than just taking shots in the chin. Do you believe in that?
Absolutely. I personally have experienced things that have messed me up for weeks following after. That did not seem like it tastes very good.
No. I just said some splash my eye. So,
but yeah, I personally have, like, weeks after, even months after cutting that much weight, it does affect you. I've broke my hand from the lack of nutrition in fight camp before, just because I was literally killing myself to make 125.
I believe it.
It's just insane. It's insane. I just don't think, I don't understand, like, why would you, I understand that, yes, you're going to be, I was a huge 125 obviously. But I don't think it's worth it. The longevity of the sport and everything. If you want to actually have a long career in this, do it smart. Do it the smart way. That's my recommendation.
Yeah, and I think that's why one of these other fighters I had on my podcast, he brought up a really good point. He said that's why these heavyweight guys they last until they fight until they're like 45 sometimes. I mean, Randy Couture, I think it was fighting maybe light heavyweight. It might have been light heavyweight around there. He was fighting at 42 years old. So I think there's a big reason why these heavyweights, they don't cut the weight. I mean, besides getting hit on the chin, like they're pretty durable.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that a lot of the women, if you notice, like a lot of the women that were 135, the older they get, they're making that switch to 45 too, because yeah, as well, most of the women that's in the sport, if they've had children or anything, that's also going to affect the fact of losing weight and how often you can and do in a safe way. So I think a lot of people are making that switch.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because Mackenzie Dern, I'm sure you probably have heard of her. It's crazy because before, and I'm not going to make a large comment about the way she was looking, but that being said, after she had her child, I mean, she came in terrific shape. She had no problem with the weight cut. So, I mean, it's kind of interesting how it kind of worked out for her. I don't know if it was just that extra commitment to dieting and cutting more, getting more muscle in there. I'm not too sure what it was, but I mean, after having her child, I mean, she came back in like incredible shape.
Yeah, she did. I mean, it all, dedication and determination, that's a huge thing. Like, if you're dedicated to be in the best shape ever, you're gonna do it. I think some people don't have a problem weight cutting and they do it the right way. They have enough time in fight camp and stuff like that. I think some people do better than others with a weight cut. Mentally, like I'm just not one of the ones that I like to stay mentally focused on my fight, not having to stress over cut, because I usually, like I said, I have a ton of things happen in my life all the time.
100%. That being said, so obviously last year was a tough year for a lot of people, everybody, in fact, and a tough year for MMA in general. I mean, you had a fight canceled. How did the COVID affect your career last year?
Honestly, I mean, I hate being inactive. This is
Hmm.
that was the longest I had been out of the cage, and I do better when I'm consistent. When I'm consistently competing, consistently like going to different gyms and training and cross training and stuff like that, and traveling often to cross train in other states. I'm better when I get to do that. So you tell yourself it doesn't affect you because you're still able to train. Your gym and your teammates and coach and everything have worked with you through all that COVID stuff, but it does. And whether you want to admit it or not, it does affect you. So I'm always better, more consistent. I'm hoping that I get another one right away.
Well, and I was going to add, because you don't look like you've been touched. Like, you look like you could be fighting tomorrow.
Yeah, I could. I honestly feel like I could. I just, I mean, it was just like her punches weren't affecting me at all. It was like little light punches. The only one that actually affected me a little bit was to the back of the head. But that was the only sore spot really on me. But I still think I could fight tomorrow. So.
Hmm. And how was the process of signing with Bellator? I mean, did you have any thought of trying to do the Contender Series with the UFC? Was that an option, or is that still an option? What was your mindset at the time?
We were actually offered to do the contender series with the UFC, and I turned it down because they wanted the 125. I refused to go to 125. I'm not doing it anymore. So unfortunately, saying no, of course, that's, a hard decision to make. But I'm glad I did, because I got the opportunity to fight for Bellator, and Bellator, that's amazing. They really take care of the fighters. I feel like I do have more option. And at the time, of course, nothing was going on with COVID. So
And I guess, like, that being said, looking at UFC, it's obviously probably the biggest organization out there. I mean, I think the future of their featherweights right now is kind of uncertain with the, not having many women getting signed to 145 in that division. I mean, does that kind of does it ever, like, kind of discourage you at any point? Or are you just happy to be with Bellator at the moment? What's your mindset?
I mean, I definitely want to, like I said, stay active. So, not having as many, I think honestly, there will be more. And I've always said, if there was a good enough offer, to do 135 and I had enough time, possibly, but it would have to be a really good offer. But I think that there's plenty of people that can keep me busy, honestly. And I really think that there's been talk about the cross organizations, actually, doing fights cross. I don't know if that's an actual thing. You just hear about it.
Yeah, I think they've had talks about it. I don't know if that's official or that's just fans shooting the shit over Instagram or social
Yeah.
media. I do think it's a great idea. I think it'd be really cool. I know in
Yeah.
Bellator, it might have been Douglas Lima or Patrice, no, it was Patricio Pitbull. I think he was talking about, like, oh, I'm like the best, guy in the whole weight class, in the world. The guys in the UFC couldn't hang with me. He said something like he wanted to, like, do like a cross fight, possibly. I don't know.
I think it'd be a great idea. I don't think that the UFC will ever do it because of, the lack thereof them even letting you have the sponsors and stuff because of, their sponsors. But I don't, I think it'd be a great idea. I think that, yes, why don't you put the best in the world from all organizations and really see who's the best in the world? I think that'd be awesome.
I think it's a more complicated situation. I think because I think the UFC has their own integrity to keep intact. I don't know if they would want someone from Bellator, because again, I mean, let's be realistic. Bellator and UFC, other organizations, they're all in it's a competition at the end of the day. No different if you had stores on the same street. I think there's an idea that they don't want to have a fighter from an organization lose and make them look bad, and they think, oh, a guy from UFC won or a guy from Bellator won. I do like the idea though that fighters from Bellator are coming to UFC, and then guys from the UFC are coming to Bellator. I like the transition. I think it gives a lot of fighters an opportunity to showcase their skills in other organizations where they might not have had as much success or had success, and they're showing that they can bring it to other organizations.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. It would
What
be.
was your? Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. It would be interesting to see some of the matchups though.
Well, I guess my thoughts, did you ever get a chance to see Michael Chandler fight in his UFC debut?
I'm sure I have. I just off the top of my head, I don't know. Honestly, I follow the girls a lot more. I mean, I definitely watch the guy fights too, but I follow the girls that I'm potentially going to be fighting more than anything.
Of course. I do want to touch upon that soon. Now, talking about your contract, you've had 2 fights. How many more fights on your contract do you currently have?
I have 2 more.
2 more. Okay. Was there an option to just give you the 1 fight contract, or they just say no? We're going to give you the 4 fight contract. How did it all work out?
It was offered from the get go.
Mm-hmm. Were you happy with it? Were you expecting to get the 4 fight contract? How'd that all work out?
I wouldn't say I expected it, but usually it's 3 fight or something. It was more than 1 usually. I think they give you the benefit of the doubt usually.
Of course. And then obviously Bellator just recently they started their own ranking system, so they have the top 10 ladies in the featherweight division. What is it that it takes to crack that top 10?
Well, there was a few new people that came in as well. When I had the unofficial rankings, it was a while back. After I beat Eli Brock, I was told that the unofficial ones I was number 10. But then we had more people come in, like Kat Zingano and stuff like that. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
More name, more already ranked in their, they've been around a long time. They're a veteran in the sport, so. They came in and it's changed everything. So I've got to work my way back up in there and make a statement.
Of course. And I guess obviously looking at that top 10, if you had an opportunity and they offered you someone in the top 10, maybe top 5 of the top of the 10 there, who you have your sights on?
I mean, of course, the goal is always to work my way up to the best, and that's the holder. So, Cyborg against Borga. But I want to work I want to make sure that I make myself, worthy of it. So I'll go through whoever I need to go through. So, and make sure I have the experience too. There's levels to this, and I understand that. I know that, Cyborg and a lot of the other people in there have been doing it a lot longer than me. I get that. I will work my way up as much as I need to. And I just, I love what I do. So whatever I need to do.
That's awesome to hear. And I mean, what's been your favorite moment of your career so far?
Honestly, my Bellator debut. I just, that was a huge moment for me, and I worked hard, and it was, it was just something that you work for. You get into the huge promotion like that, and you put on a debut like that in the first round, which all my finishes were in the first round. But this one is a decision loss, so I'm not beating myself up over it. I know had I been me, I could have finished her in the first round. I there's no doubt in my mind about it. So not beating myself up too much. I just wish I would have put on a show for the fans, because honestly, I love that. I love what I do. I wanted to show. And that was a boring fight to me. I was boring.
It's interesting. I actually watched that card, but I think I just tuned in. I think it was I tuned in when Kat Zingano was fighting.
Oh, that's yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's when I tuned in. So I think I just missed your fight, but that was still a really, really good card. I mean, the last card I wasn't really, you know, I was looking at this at a fan standpoint. I wasn't really impressed with the main event because I'm a Machida fan. Him and I, we both have the same fighting background, so I was like, oh, I was hoping to see a little bit more of that karate stuff. Um,
Yeah.
but kind of just spitballing here. So do you get to let your son watch you fight, or what? Do you have the ground rules? What's the deal there?
So everyone always asks me, even in my amateur, when I was able to fight near my home, I cannot have him come to the fights. I'm too much of a mama bear, I guess you can say. I'm too protective over him, and I know with fights, and everyone knows with fights that the later the fights go, the
Yeah.
more courage people get, and I would have a hard time focusing on the fight if he was there in person. But yes, he can watch me on TV. I don't mind that.
hmm and that being said, do you kind of hope to kind of set that example, show them that this can still be an option in life? You don't have to go to college and get that sit down job. You can fight. You can. That's something you can do with your life.
Absolutely. I mean, I want him to strive for. I would love for him to still go to college. I wish I could go back in time and go to more school for more things to have a backup, because unfortunately you can't fight forever. um, I'm going to be fighting as long as I possibly can, but I do want to set the example that no matter if things don't work out the way they plan, that you or the way you plan them to, that there's always something that you can strive for greatness. There's no giving up. It's not an option.
Of course, of course. Now the big name, Cris Cyborg. I mean, if I could interview every single girl in the featherweight division in Bellator, that name would come up every time. So Cris Cyborg, I mean, there's no secret how dominant she's been in pretty much every organization she's been in. I mean, what is it that you see takes to beat a girl like her?
A good freaking game plan.
Of
You've
course.
got to capitalize on the one thing that, I mean, in all honesty, it would take, just like Amanda Nunes beating her. Amanda Nunes was backing up as she hit her. She got that lucky punch backing up. She had a good game plan. It was good. She's also very dominating. So being dominating, being a knockout artist as well didn't hurt her at all.
Yeah, and I was really questioning about how that fight was going to go because with Cris, I think the issue is that people know how hard she hits, and she hits people so hard that people like these girls almost look like they're stunned, like they don't know, like shit. What am I gonna do? Like that's the way their presence comes off to her. Um, with Amanda though, Amanda kind of had that same thing because she wasn't sure how. Like I think this was a fight for Amanda where we wanted to see have someone fight her that could hit just as hard or not, maybe not as hard, but could give her a good fight. And I do question if they had a rematch, how that would look. Um, I do question, I think maybe that's what they need to do because if you watch Cris Cyborg, she doesn't do it as much now because of, I think she learned her lesson with Amanda Nunes. But if you watch how she swings really wild, I think what it takes is someone to have that kind of boxing background to be able to get in the inside with some straight punches, because that's where I see someone having a chance against someone like her. And also, Cris, she's getting old as well.
Yeah, I honestly think that she'll probably retire by the time that, like I said, there's levels to this. By the time I reach that level, because like I said, I'm new in the sport. I'm not, I'm not a veteran, but she is getting older, and there's gonna be a time where they retire. I don't blame them for that. Your body can only take so much for so long,
Of course.
but I mean, that'll be Julia Budd is right behind her. Julia is an amazing fighter as well. So it's whoever's at the top, climb up.
That's awesome. And I mean, looking at someone like Kat Zingano, I mean, she's kind of made her presence known in the Bellator as well. She's also a girl that's been in there for a while. I mean, like, what do you think? Do you think that she's going to get the next title shot? I mean, you got to think that she's getting close.
I think that absolutely. She's a veteran in the sport as well. I mean, the people that have made their name known, they're going to get a shot before anyone else. So yes,
Yeah.
especially with her first round armbar finish and her decision win. I think that she will soon. She will be able to fight for the title. Absolutely.
And I think so too, because I mean, Arlene just got beat by Cyborg. Julia Budd got beat by Cyborg. I don't know if Julia had a fight after, but they both got beat by Cyborg. I know Leslie Smith is the next one on board. You got to think that that Kat Zingano has got. I mean, Alpha. She's got to be next. If not, she'd get another fight, and then would be next if she would win.
I know a lot of people want to fight her, including myself, because she is a name. We all respect her in the cage. We all want to go against such a good veteran sport, sport. So I get it. Everyone's calling her out. She's got a target on her, that we all want. We all want to go against her. But yeah, I think she will in a fight or two. She will, if not the next one. You never know.
Of course. No, I think that whole big boxing event is going to be this weekend. You got Jake Paul and Ben Askren. I believe it's a Saturday. So, like, are you going to be watching that fight?
God, he's such a tool. I can't stand him. God, I hope.
Very hard to like him. I can understand that.
And I get it though. You know what? He did exactly what he wanted to do. He made himself known for being a jackass, but he made himself known. So he did it. Everyone made him famous. It's just like that girl that Catch Me Outside. How about that girl? Like the stupidest thing.
MMA girl, and she's gonna get slapped.
So yeah, I will probably watch it. I have a friend's birthday this weekend, so I don't know, but we'll see.
Well, that's good. And I mean, like looking at that fight, I mean, you got Ben Askren, who is known as a wrestler. I mean, that's no secret. And then you have a guy like Jake Paul, who's, obviously he's still quite I want to say still an amateur in terms of boxing. So do you think that Ben Askren has enough in his hands to be able to take on a young guy like that?
I do. Honestly, I think that Ben will do much better than anyone. I don't believe in, just like with like the Conor McGregor, going to boxing and stuff like that. I think that in reality, like you said, he still is kind of like amateur in his career. He's good. It's not like he's terrible, but I think that with the experience that Ben has, he's been doing it a lot longer altogether. Yes, MMA, but that has a lot to do with striking. So I think he'll do better than most people expect. I think nobody's really going for anyone but Ben, in my opinion, but who knows?
Yeah, and I think that this is one of the fights where I can remember when he fought Masvidal, and everybody wanted to see Askren get knocked out because he's the one that was trying to get under Masvidal's skin, talking about manhood, talking about all these things, and you see Masvidal, the street Jesus kind of stuff, got to knock him out in 5 seconds. I mean, that was that moment where every fan won. But now this is kind of the tables have been turned, where now kind of Jake Paul's playing the bad guy and being very, I'm going to knock you out and you're going to be a joke and all that. I think it's smart what the UFC has done with Ben Askren and teaming up with a guy like with Roach. Great boxing coach. Worked with GSP. I mean, made GSP's boxing look unbelievable. So, do you think him training with a guy like Freddie Roach is gonna improve his boxing?
I do think so. I mean, it also depends on how much time you have working with someone, because it takes a minute to, change your game. If it's not so good, it's not gonna like, woo, it takes a while. But yes, any kind of improvement, especially with someone that has that caliber of expertise, I think it'll help. Absolutely.
Awesome. And just one last one for you. I mean, obviously you're talking about wanting to get back into Bellator very quickly. Is there any girls that you're looking at that you'd like to fight?
Any of them.
Any specific names?
My weight class. Yeah, absolutely. Anyone, anytime.
Any specific names? Any girls that come to your mind?
Oh, I absolutely want to fight Kat Zingano, but I know that she, like I said, I understand that she has everyone wanting to fight her, and it's all out of respect for her. I have mad respect for Kat. Like I said, she's a veteran in the sport. I just want to share the cage with her. I
Mhm.
That's a great fight.
Well, that's awesome to hear. Again, I appreciate it that for you coming on the podcast and taking your time to come on here. It's been a pleasure having you on, and hopefully you get your fight soon, and we'll see you in there again.
All right, thank you too. It was great.
Thank you.